You weren't born to live passively. You're not here to coast, to scroll, or to drown in drama. You're here to take the reins of your own life. To lead yourself. To rise above impulse, distraction, and noise. These are the 10 rules of a disciplined man. Not a man obsessed with control, but a man who sharpens himself each day like a blade. Quietly, consistently, without apology. So ask yourself, are you living with purpose? Or just staying busy? If you're ready to stop drifting and start building a life that's yours, subscribe. Don't miss what's coming, because it's made for men who are ready to lead themselves again. 1. Wake up before the world, on time, don't react to it. There's a truth every great man in history knew. Not because someone taught it to them, but because life demanded it of them. If you don't take control of your time, the world will take it from you. Every morning offers a decision. Will you lead the day, or will the day lead you? Most people live on autopilot. The alarm rings, they snooze. They grab their phones before they open their eyes. By the time their feet hit the floor, their mind is already hijacked by texts, by emails, by news, by nonsense. That's not living. That's reacting. But you're not most people. You are here because something inside you is rising. A fire that refuses to be tamed by comfort. A voice that says, there's more in me than I'm showing the world. Waking up early is not about being a morning person. It's about being a man of command. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and Stoic, wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being." The disciplined man doesn't sleep in while his goals decay. He doesn't seek comfort while his competitors build. He wakes, not out of obligation, but out of purpose. Because morning is where warriors are forged. When the world is quiet, a man can hear himself again. It's in the stillness before sunrise that clarity is built. It's in the discipline of rising early that momentum is born. You want to own your life? Start by owning your morning. Picture this. It's 5 a.m. Outside, the world is dark. But inside, you're lit. You've already sat in silence. You've mapped your mission for the day. You've started moving, mentally, physically, spiritually, while everyone else is still dreaming. That's the edge. Not talent. Not luck. Just one quiet hour, owned before the noise begins. You might think, what difference does waking up early really make? Here's the answer. If you win your morning, you win your day. Win your day, and you start stacking wins. Stack enough wins, and you build a life most men only dream of. But it starts here. It starts with discipline. With refusing to press snooze on your life again. With taking back the first hour of your day and saying, "This is mine. I decide who I am today, not the world, not my inbox, not my phone." So here's what to do. Set your alarm 1 hour earlier, no excuses. Put your phone out of reach, no scrolling. Wake up, breathe deep, drink water. Sit still for 5 minutes. Ask yourself, what kind of man do I want to be today? Then begin, in silence, in power, in full command. This isn't just a habit. This is the foundation of your future. Because men who own their mornings eventually own their lives. If this hits you, if it speaks to something you've been avoiding, then good. That discomfort? That's the truth waking up inside you. Let it. And if you subscribe, join the brotherhood, and start building the discipline that rewires your destiny. 2. No social media before 8 a.m. Keep the mind clean. You've claimed your first victory. You woke up before the world. You didn't hit snooze. You didn't wait for permission. You rose, with intention, with clarity, with fire. Now comes your second battle. And make no mistake, this one is just as critical. Because the moment you grab your phone and open social media, you hand over your mind. You let strangers in. You let noise in. You let the chaos of the world take root before you've even had a chance to hear your own thoughts. That's not power. That's surrender. You see, when your brain is still waking up, it's in a vulnerable, programmable state. What you feed it in that first hour will set the tone for the entire day, how you feel, how you think, how you act. And social media? It's a flood of dopamine traps, meaningless opinions, negativity, comparison, outrage, distraction. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic minds, warned us. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. And what is social media, if not an endless stream of other people's imagined realities and projected emotions? Their victories, their drama, their anger, their lies. And suddenly, before you've even had your first sip of water, you're reacting to a world you don't control. You lose your center. You lose your edge. But not you. Not anymore. The disciplined man guards his mind like a fortress. He doesn't let the world in until he's ready to face it. He doesn't check likes. He checks in with himself. 3. Stoic 5-minute meditation. Filter emotion before action. You've taken control of your morning. You woke up early, on your terms. You resisted the temptation to drown in digital noise. You reclaimed time, space, and attention. But now comes the third threshold, the quietest, and yet most transformative. Mastering your emotions before they master you. The modern man is reactive. Triggered by headlines. Triggered by opinions. He flinches at discomfort. He snaps at inconvenience. He chases validation. He lets how he feels dictate how he shows up. But you're not here to be like every man. You're here to become a fortress, steady, unshakable, focused. And that starts not with force, but with silence. The Stoics knew. It's not the events that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. Epictetus. You don't control what happens today. The traffic. The rejection. The delay. The chaos. But you do control one thing, and it's the thing that separates the weak from the elite. Your response. And that response must be forged in stillness, long before the storm comes. This is where Stoic meditation enters. Not meditation as hype or trend, but as daily training for the battlefield of life. 5 minutes. That's all it takes. 5 minutes of sitting in total silence. No phone. No playlist. No distractions. Just you, your breath, and your mind. And in that space, you observe. You let thoughts come, but you don't follow them. You watch emotions rise, anger, doubt, pressure, and you let them pass like clouds. You remember, you are not your emotions. You are the man watching them. This isn't spiritual fluff. This is ancient psychological armor. The modern world teaches you to react. The Stoic trains himself to pause. Because the man who can pause, who can sit, breathe, and choose his response, that man owns himself. And self-ownership is the highest form of power. You think strength is lifting weights? Try sitting with your mind, uninterrupted, for 300 seconds. Try observing the chaos inside without needing to fix it. Try choosing not to act on your first impulse, but on your highest principle. That's mental resistance training. That's sharpening the blade of your awareness. And once you master that 5-minute discipline, you'll begin seeing the world differently. You'll walk into arguments without the need to win. You'll face problems without panic. You'll notice your own emotional patterns and rise above them. And most importantly, you'll stop being a slave to the random noise inside your own head. The world wants you reactive. Because reactive men are easier to manipulate, easier to sell to, easier to control. But the man who's anchored in inner stillness, he's dangerous because he can't be moved. So here's your challenge. Every morning, before the world gets in, sit down for 5 minutes. No apps. No quotes. Just you and your breath. Observe your emotions. Name them. Release them. Don't fight what you feel. Don't suppress it. Just don't let it dictate who you are or how you show up. This is your training ground. Not for peace, but for control. Not for escape, but for clarity. You want to be a weapon? Then you need to be still before you strike. Because a man who's ruled by emotion will always be ruled by someone else. Discipline your mind, and the rest of your life falls into place. If this speaks to you, stay with us. Subscribe. Keep showing up. And start becoming the kind of man the world can't shake. 4. Write down 3 things to do, and do only those 3 things. You've claimed your morning. You've risen early with intention. You've protected your mind from the chaos of social media. You've sat in silence and stared into your own mind without flinching. You are no longer waking up like the average man, reacting, scattered, soft. Now comes the next step, clarity and action. Because even a focused mind can get lost if it doesn't know what to aim at. You live in a world that worships busyness. Busy is worn like a badge. But ask most people what they actually accomplished by the end of the day, and you'll get a blank stare. Scrolling. Emails. Half-finished to-do lists. Urgent tasks that weren't actually important. A blur of motion with no direction. That's not productivity. That's just noise wearing a mask. And noise is the enemy of the disciplined man. The Stoics understood this long before we did. They didn't ask, how much can I do? They asked, what must be done? There's a difference. Real power doesn't come from doing more, it comes from doing the right things, deeply, completely, with zero compromise. So here's your next rule. Every morning, write down just 3 things. Not 30. Not everything that might matter. Just the 3 most essential, most impactful, most aligned actions of your day. And then do them. Relentlessly. No multitasking. No checking messages between tasks. No bouncing around trying to feel busy. Because you don't get points for how much you juggle. You get results from what you finish. You want mental clarity? Cut out clutter. You want momentum? Cut out indecision. You want strength? Train yourself to focus on fewer things and execute at a deeper level than anyone else. 3 priorities. 3 clear targets. 3 wins that move your mission forward. That's how you compound. That's how you gain confidence. That's how you become unshakable, by knowing that when you decide something matters, it gets done. Period. Most men confuse activity with progress. They live in reaction mode, pulled into meetings, notifications, favors, low-value tasks. They end the day mentally drained but no closer to anything meaningful. That's not how you operate. You are not a man ruled by randomness. You are a man driven by precision. You don't chase, you choose. And when you write down your 3 essential actions each morning, you are planting a flag in the ground that says, this is what matters today. Everything else can wait. It's not about being rigid. It's about being ruthless with what deserves your energy. And as you begin to live this way, focused, minimal, precise, you'll notice something strange. You'll actually get more done. You'll feel less scattered. And you'll end the day knowing exactly why it mattered. Because the point of a disciplined life isn't just to be efficient. It's to live with direction, to move like a man who knows exactly why he's here. So tomorrow morning, after you meditate, don't scroll. Don't drift. Grab a pen. Write down your 3. And then, go execute. Let others drown in distraction. Let them waste their hours proving how busy they are. You'll be too busy building a life that speaks for itself. Stay with us. Keep showing up. And subscribe, because clarity, like discipline, is not a one-time act. It's a way of life. 5. Train like a warrior, not to look good, but to be strong. You've claimed your priorities. 3 clear actions. No drift. No noise. You've trained your focus like a scalpel. Now it's time to take that internal discipline and forge it into something external, something you can carry into every room, every decision, every conflict. Your body. Because all the clarity, all the goals, all the vision in the world means nothing if your body is weak. Mental discipline and physical discipline are not separate. They are mirrors of the same code. One fuels the other. One breaks, and the other follows. So let's be clear. You don't train for likes. You don't train for abs. You train because the body is the first battlefield and the first tool. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. But what happens when your body becomes the reason your mind falters? When fatigue clouds thought? When poor posture breaks presence? When weakness becomes a habit that spreads like rust? This is why the Stoics trained like warriors. Not to perform. Not to pose. But to endure. To act. To lead. And this is where most modern men are lost. They chase aesthetics. They train to be looked at. But the warrior trains to be capable. The disciplined man trains his body because he understands one truth. You can't protect what you love if you're physically incapable. You can't lead a family, defend your values, endure a crisis, or rise under pressure if you fold under pain, if you lack stamina, if your body is soft when life demands strength. This isn't about having a six-pack. It's about earning the right to trust yourself when it counts. So train like your future depends on it. Because it does. Lift. Run. Stretch. Fight. Discomfort is not something to avoid, it's where your mind meets your edge. And that edge is exactly where you build yourself. Most men use their bodies for pleasure. The disciplined man uses his body as an instrument of power, focus, and mission. He doesn't skip workouts because he's tired, he trains because he's tired. He doesn't work out to look impressive, he trains so he can carry more, hold longer, act stronger. Your body is your foundation. Your health is your leverage. And every drop of sweat you earn becomes insurance for moments that will test everything you've built. So here's your challenge. Don't ask yourself what you feel like doing today. Ask what your mission demands. Then go do it. With weight. With sweat. With purpose. With zero apologies. Because a man in control of his body is hard to intimidate. He doesn't just walk into a room, he owns it. Not because of size, but because of presence. Not because of muscle, but because of mastery. And that mastery shows in how you move, how you breathe, how you carry pressure. It shows when life punches you in the face, and you don't flinch. This isn't optional. This is daily, non-negotiable, required. Not for looks. Not for ego. For readiness. Because someday, you won't have time to get strong. You'll only have the strength you've already built. So build now. Subscribe if you're ready to train not just like a man, but like a weapon. And if you've been coasting, if you've been making excuses, now is the time to leave them behind and re-enter the fight. 6. Eat simply, but with intention. You've begun training like a warrior, not to impress, but to prepare. You've built discipline into your movement, your schedule, your mindset. But now comes a subtler test. One that most men underestimate, yet it quietly defines their energy, focus, and self-respect every single day. It's not what you do in the gym. It's what you put on your plate. Because while training is the fire, fuel is the foundation. And if your fuel is compromised, your clarity is compromised. Your focus, your discipline, your stamina, all silently corroded by the way you eat. And most men? They eat like addicts. Distracted. Emotional. Mindless. Reactive. Eating not to strengthen the body, but to numb the mind. You've seen it. They eat out of boredom, anxiety, fatigue, impulse. They reach for sugar when they feel empty. They overeat because they're overstimulated. And what begins as a snack becomes a sedative. But a man seeking command over himself doesn't put garbage in the engine and expect high performance. Seneca once said, "Drunkenness is nothing but voluntary madness." He wasn't just talking about alcohol, he was talking about anything we consume without reason, without limit, without awareness. Discipline doesn't stop at the gym door. It follows you to your plate, to your fridge, to the split-second decisions you make when no one is watching. So here's the truth. You don't need a trendy diet. You don't need meal plans, macros, or another list of superfoods. What you need is intent. Eat simply, and eat like a man who understands that food is fuel. Fuel to think sharper. Fuel to move stronger. Fuel to resist temptation, not become a victim to it. The goal is not minimalism. It's mastery. You don't eat less because you're punishing yourself. You eat cleaner because you respect yourself. You choose food that serves the mission, not food that slows it down. Think about it. After you eat, are you sharper or slower? Focused or foggy? Energized or sedated? Every meal is a vote for the man you're becoming, or the one you're settling for. A Stoic man doesn't chase pleasure at the cost of clarity. He doesn't confuse comfort with nourishment. He eats not to escape, but to stay ready. So build rituals around your meals, not just reactions. Pause before eating. Ask yourself, is this food serving my purpose or my craving? Make simple your default. Make healthy your standard. And above all, make every bite intentional. Let others laugh at this level of precision. Let them mock discipline while they slip deeper into fog. You'll be too busy performing at a level they can't even touch. Because when your mind is clean and your body is fueled with clarity, you become unstoppable. You don't need coffee to focus. You don't need sugar to feel good. You're not manipulated by flavor. You choose what feeds your purpose and discard what doesn't. And in that choice, you take back one of the most quietly powerful forms of self-control there is. So decide today. No more unconscious eating. No more treating your body like a trash can. No more food as escape, food as reward, food as numbing. Eat simply. Eat strategically. Eat as a man who knows every choice he makes shapes who he is, inside and out. Stay on the path. You've taken command of your mind, your time, your body. Now take command of what fuels it all. Subscribe if you're building a life that's forged, not fed. 7. Work in blocks, not in multitasking. You've taken command over what fuels you. You no longer eat to feel better, you eat to be better. You've stripped away the noise from your plate, just like you stripped it from your mind and your habits. Now it's time to go deeper. From fuel to focus. Because what you feed your body builds your foundation. But what you feed your attention, that shapes your life. And in today's world, attention is under attack. It's pulled in every direction. Pings. Dings. Messages. Tabs. Urgent tasks. 1,000 things at once, all demanding you to split, divide, juggle. But here's the truth no one wants to admit. Multitasking is not a skill. It's a slow death. It's death by distraction. Death by divided energy. Death by diluted focus, performed over and over until you've spent a decade moving in circles, busy, but going nowhere. The Stoics never confused motion with progress. They never mistook activity for effectiveness. They knew that true work, deep, lasting, meaningful work, demands singularity. One task. One block. One mission. You can't build anything meaningful when your mind is fractured. You can't finish anything that matters when you're constantly jumping between emails, timelines, notifications, and shallow conversations. A man with a scattered mind is easy to control. He's reactive, forgettable, average. He finishes the day feeling drained, not because he worked deeply, but because he never stopped switching. And switching is exhausting. The disciplined man doesn't live like that. He works like a sniper. Set the target. Breathe. Block out the world. Execute with deadly precision. That's what work blocks are. Intentional periods of deep, uninterrupted labor. No messages. No tabs. No background noise. Just presence. Purpose. Power. Start with 1 hour. Turn everything off, literally everything. Choose your single, high-value task. Then dive. Not checking. Not flinching. Not drifting. Because here's the secret. It's not how long you work. It's how deep you go while you're in it. An hour of true deep work is worth more than 5 hours of half-distracted effort. And when you repeat this, day after day, you start doing what others can't. You build the kind of momentum they don't even understand. And here's what happens when you start working this way. You'll finish sooner. You'll think clearer. You'll gain time, energy, confidence. You'll become dangerous, not because you're loud, but because you're efficient in a world that's drowning in distraction. So, what's the move? Structure your day into blocks. Work in deep, deliberate bursts. Step away between blocks. Recover. Think. Re-enter. And protect those blocks with your life. Let others scramble, chase, click, drift. You'll be building something they'll never touch because they're too scattered to focus long enough to compete. This is not a productivity hack. This is war. A war against noise. Against mediocre focus. Against the myth that being busy is the same as being effective. It's not. Power comes from presence. And presence is trained, one block at a time. So tomorrow, don't just start the day with a to-do list. Start with a focus plan. Ask yourself, what is the one thing I must finish today? Then block the time. Own the time. Guard it like it's sacred, because it is. Work like a warrior. Think like a tactician. Move like a professional. Because this is not just how you get more done. This is how you become untouchable. Subscribe. Stay in the fight. And keep forging the rarest skill in the modern world, undivided attention. 8. Afternoon mind check, not just deadline chasing. You've carved out your time. You've worked in deep, focused blocks, not scattered multitasking. You've moved like a man who knows where his energy belongs. But here's the next frontier, and it's one most men never cross. The ability to stop and ask, am I doing the right thing, or am I just doing? Because there's a trap that swallows even the disciplined, and it's the trap of unchecked momentum. You start strong. You plan. You execute. But somewhere around midday, it slips. You go from leader to task manager. From focused operator to busy responder. You don't notice it happen. You just suddenly find yourself running, chasing 100 things, putting out fires, rushing to meet demands that weren't even on your radar this morning. And that's the problem. You began the day with purpose. But now the clock is leading you, not your values. So here's your command. Pause. Reset. Review. Midday. Every day. This is not laziness. This is strategy. This is the discipline to stop, not when you're tired, but when you need clarity. Ask yourself, am I aligned or just busy? Am I still moving toward what matters or drifting toward what's loudest? The Stoics taught this kind of reflection religiously. They weren't machines. They were masters of the pause. They knew that unchecked busyness leads to misalignment, and misalignment leads to regret. Seneca warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." And wasting time doesn't always look like distraction. Sometimes it looks like productivity. Emails, messages, meetings, back-to-back tasks, all marked urgent, few that are truly important. If you don't check in with your mind, if you don't recalibrate midday, you end up trading your energy for nothing. The disciplined man doesn't chase deadlines blindly. He leads his day from start to finish. He doesn't run, he directs. That's the purpose of the afternoon mind check. It's your moment to pull back, zoom out, and ask, is this still aligned with the man I'm trying to become? Do this every day, somewhere between noon and sunset. Step away from the keyboard. No phone. No input. Just breath and reflection. Write if you need to. Walk if you can. But check in. Reroute. Drop what's noise. Return to what matters. And when you do, you stop living in reactivity. You regain presence. You remember, you are not here to survive your to-do list. You are here to live with direction. Let other men brag about being busy. You'll be too busy making progress that actually means something. Because the man who never checks in with his mind becomes a slave to his momentum. And momentum without meaning is just movement toward burnout. You've done too much work to lose the plot halfway through the day. So don't let it drift. Don't let the afternoon hijack your mission. Take it back. Realign. Recenter. Re-enter. This is how leaders live. They don't chase time, they command presence. Subscribe if you're done running. Stay in the fight, but make sure it's the right fight. 9. Evening is for recovery, not escaping reality. You took control at noon. You paused. You reviewed. You didn't let the day hijack you. But now, the sun begins to drop, and a new temptation appears. Not laziness. Not weakness. But escape. For most men, evening isn't rest. It's numbing. It's not recovery. It's retreat. The pressure winds down, and what do they reach for? Endless scrolling. Binge episodes. Ultra-processed snacks. Alcohol. Porn. It's not about pleasure, it's about forgetting. Forgetting the stress. The chaos. The emptiness they didn't face during the day. They call it winding down. But really, they're shutting off, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And here's the brutal truth. If you keep ending your days by escaping reality, your life will start to reflect that reality, fragmented, dull, undirected. Because what you do at night is what sets the tone for tomorrow. You think discipline ends when work does? No. Discipline isn't what you do from 9 to 5. Discipline is who you are when no one is watching, especially when you're tired. The Stoics knew this. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man of his time, spent his evenings in reflection, not distraction. He didn't turn off his mind. He turned it inward. He used the evening to review, to refine, to return to his center. And you must do the same. Evening is sacred. It's the time to refocus your compass, to rebuild your system, to let your nervous system rest, not collapse. It's the time to say, I showed up today, and I will rise stronger tomorrow. But that strength only grows in the quiet. So trade stimulation for stillness. Trade screens for presence. Trade escape for recovery. You don't need to drown yourself in dopamine to feel good. You don't need to deserve a reward every night. You're not a dog chasing treats, you're a man on a mission. Use your evenings with intent. Read. Not out of obligation, but because your mind hungers for more than noise. Write, even just a few lines. Capture what you learned. What challenged you? What you must carry forward. Sit in stillness, not to be spiritual, but to remember who you are when everything else is quiet. And most of all, be fully where you are. If you're with family, be with them. If you're alone, be with yourself. Not through the filter of entertainment, but through the lens of presence. Let others drift off into escapism every night. You'll be doing the one thing they're too scared to do. Face yourself. In silence. Without numbing. Without hiding. Because when you can do that, consistently, you earn a kind of internal peace that cannot be bought, hacked, or handed to you. You earn depth. You earn insight. You earn rest that actually restores, not just sedates. And when tomorrow comes, you won't wake up needing coffee, stimulation, or motivation. You'll wake up already recharged, because you used the night before to sharpen your edge, not dull it. This is your edge. This is how high performers recover. Not by running from reality, but by mastering it from dusk till dawn. So tonight, as the noise fades, ask yourself, am I closing this day with control or just collapsing into comfort? Choose control. Subscribe. Stay with this path. You don't need to escape the life you're building. You need to be wide awake inside it, from the first hour to the last. 10. End the day with honesty and gratitude. You've chosen recovery over retreat. You didn't escape your evening, you used it. You stepped away from distraction. You reflected. You reconnected. But now comes the final move, the one that separates the man who merely survives his days from the man who builds himself through them. The closing ritual. The final 5 minutes of the day. And it demands one thing, radical honesty. Most men close their days unconsciously. They crash. Phone in hand. Mind distracted. Body drained. Soul disconnected. They fall into sleep without thought, only to wake up in the same fog they went to bed with. That's not closure. That's leakage. That's a life slowly spilling away at the edges. But you're no longer that man. You've chosen the path of presence. You've reclaimed your mornings, your body, your attention, your time. Now you reclaim your end, not with noise, but with integrity. Seneca wrote, each day, before retiring, call yourself to account. What bad habit did I curb today? How am I better? Where did I fail? This is not self-loathing. It's self-respect. It's the quiet act of a man who's willing to see himself clearly, not just when he's winning, but when he's not. And this is your final discipline. Before sleep, no matter how the day went, sit with yourself. Not to judge. Not to punish. But to review. With courage. With truth. Ask the hard questions. Did I live today on my terms? Did I act in alignment with my values, or did I drift? Where did I let fear, distraction, or ego take the wheel? Where did I lead with strength, with clarity, with integrity? What am I proud of, and what must I correct? Write it down. Keep a log. Not for anyone else, for you. 3 things you did right. 1 thing you will do better tomorrow. That's how growth is built. Not in loud declarations, but in quiet consistency. Not in seeking perfection, but in pursuing progress relentlessly. Gratitude must live here, too. Because even on your hardest days, there is always something to honor. A lesson. A conversation. A moment of clarity. A reminder. And when you begin to see those gifts, not just the wins, but the opportunities hidden in the struggle, you train your mind to stop chasing the next high. You begin to live grounded, anchored, awake. You don't need life to be perfect to respect it. You don't need to dominate every day to learn from it. You just need to stay honest and grateful enough to keep showing up. Because this is how warriors evolve. Not in chaos. Not in glory. But in stillness. Reflection. Correction. You're not building a highlight reel. You're building a legacy. And legacies are crafted in silence by men who review their days with eyes wide open. So as you lay your head down tonight, ask yourself, did I show up as the man I said I'd be, or did I leave something on the table? And if the answer is not yet, that's okay. Because the disciplined man doesn't need to be perfect. He just needs to be honest and willing to face himself again tomorrow. Sleep is not your escape. It's your reset. And if you end your day with honesty and gratitude, you will rise tomorrow with something most men have lost. A clear conscience. A sharpened focus. A reason to fight again. So write the final line. Close the day with truth. Not just to rest, but to rise better. And if this entire path has been speaking to you, this rhythm, this standard, this code, then subscribe. Stay close. Stay sharp. Stay in the process. Because this is not a 10-day strategy. It's a lifestyle. And only the men who live it, fully, quietly, relentlessly, ever earn its rewards. Live like a warrior in a world built for distraction. Each of the 10 rules you've read isn't a life hack. It's not a quick fix. And it's not a gimmick to optimize your life. This is a system of living. A philosophy. A code for men who are tired of the fog. Tired of the hesitation, the half-steps, and the quiet weakness dressed up as freedom. We live in an age where everything is engineered for ease. You're encouraged to react, not to reflect. To chase dopamine instead of sitting in stillness. To scroll through your life instead of living it, deliberately. But the disciplined man doesn't drift with the current. He resists it. He wakes up before the world, not just to start the day, but to declare war on it. He doesn't let social media shape his mind, he shapes it himself. He sits in silence, studying his emotions like a general surveying the battlefield. He does less, but with more depth, more precision, more force. He doesn't train to be noticed, he trains to become unbreakable. He doesn't eat to forget, he eats to stay sharp. He doesn't work by the clock, he works by a standard. And when the world runs in chaos, he stops, to realign, not react. When night falls, he doesn't escape, he restores. And when the lights go out, he doesn't just sleep. He reflects, he takes responsibility, he gives thanks. And he prepares to rise again, sharper, the next day. Discipline is not restriction. Discipline is freedom, in its realest form. It's the private vow you make to yourself. When no one's watching. When no one's cheering. When no one's asking anything of you. And if you've read this far, you've already felt it, deep inside. You know you can't keep living on autopilot, lost in half measures and almosts. You're waking up. You're taking your life back, one morning, one choice, one act of discipline at a time. Keep going. Live as if Marcus Aurelius is watching your every step. Work as if Epictetus is testing every move. Be still as if Seneca is whispering in your mind each night. Because you don't need more. You just need to live in line with what you already know to be true. Live like a warrior. Think like a philosopher. Act like a man who's never turning back. This is the path. Not easy. Not quick. But it's the right one. And you're not walking it alone. This is where you belong.